ikaw, Mr. Yes, Al-Rashid, anong gusto mo? Anong nangyari sa picture? Teacher. Lady naman, Miss, ano ko po? Yes, short. Okay, many of us would want to be teaching people, to be around people, to want to command people. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes we follow people. And that's the ladder path. You got to start it from below. That's the ideal path, right? In trying to, I'm an international studies student. And for all humility purposes, we're all going to have to start in understanding systems. We're now inside ARM kami. I'm a worker now in ARM. I'm an employee. I am paid my monthly. And I have to understand, where is my little place? Hindi ko pwedeng pasukan ang executive department because I'm a lawmaker. Such as the executive cannot also become a lawmaker. So in trying to understand the problematic social matters, that's what we're talking about, is you're going to understand 3 levels of intervention. You as a teacher are going to have to understand that you have a path. You're going to have to work within a civil service system. You're going to have to apply. Example, so people, you're going to submit yourself to a LET, licensure teachers exams. So people will correct you, your examination. So you're going to have to work with people around you. You're a teacher, you're going to teach 30 students. Institution, you're a teacher, you're going to work within the Department of Education or CHED if you want to get faculty. Policy. Policy because it's important that there are no shortcuts. Kung sa amin sa ARM, yung language namin is walang palakasan system. So policies are put in place so that there are certain rules and regulations. So social matters. What has happened to Mindanao? People, institution, policy. Sadly, in our dream, in that visioning that we did, which is very important, no, Jan? We're peace workers. It's important to visualize 20 years ahead, 5 years ahead. Kasi parents mo gagastos yan eh. 4 years of your schooling for a medical student is millions of pesos. Doctor, kailangan nag-calculate yung parents ko. Kasi sa abroad, meron silang pension system or something like government is supposed to appropriate in their bank yung pera para sa isang future ng isang bata. So people, institution, policy. Next book. So, the gamut of problems, and this is a presentation in one Mindanaoan book that I forgot the author, but he's a priest. And this, look at social development. This is the complexity, what I'm talking about. Nakakakilo, but it's important for an engineer ma-appreciate na niya to. When you're drawing the problem, put it in circles. Kasi ako, student leader, no? I thought it easy noon na to draw the problems. You know, like after every meeting, may tasking na doon sa circles of problems. So ganun ako rin mag-isip. I appreciated that kind of methodology. So this is social development. Wala tayong ano. So for us, this is our area. We'd like to look at basic needs, access to goods, household income, and of course, economic development, economy na yan, the power of money. But this also, this issue, this circular is important. Social, cultural, religious. I might not deal masyado on economic and political, but these are things, do you agree with me, na social matters? Yes. Very personal. You might want to add spiritual. There's a difference between religious and a spiritual person. You're not necessarily part of an ideology. You don't have an ideology, but you're very spiritual. You might be so religious, you wear it, you pray it, but you're not spiritual. So, these are things that are part of the complexity of analysis of problems. Next, please. So, what has happened to Mindanao? Muslim Mindanao at that. Did you know that the 3.5 million statistics of ARC is kaduda-duda? Just like what we had to do for re-registration. Government had to spend almost 500 million pesos para register tayo because hindi naniniwala ang national government. We are 1.7 million voters. And I also don't believe that. That's why I took up the campaign of one person, one vote. Because my relatives can register as much as 5 times, depending on how much they can get from a municipality. Di ba po? So, the problem with statistics and the problem with numbers is that we don't have the actual numbers. We don't have the number of young people really in ARMM. We don't have the number of how many women die from maternal birth, how many teenage pregnancies do we have, how many victims of deportation or deportees, illegal deportees we have going to Sabah. And we're even having cross-border issues. Maguindanao young domestic helpers or Maguindanaoan young women coming to Tawi-Tawi or Sulu and going to Sabah using the transshipment. So there are so many cross-territorial concerns na. So this is very important. Kung wala nagsabi na statistics siya, no? Walang statistics sector dito, walang nag-take up ng statistics. Why is statistics important to the ARMM people? It's because, and this is for academicians na intindihan natin to properly address a problem, you guys are taking thesis, that's why my statistics is to have correct numbers. Correct analysis starts from correct numbers, right? 5 women, 5 men, what age, point, percentage. Tayo mga mahina sa math, mahirapan dito. And when you don't have the right numbers, you do not count. Yes. Makwento si ARMM, makwento si Bangsamoro, magaling siya sa conference magsalita, but when you tell him to write the problem, magkakaproblema. That is the problem of the Bangsamoro, the ARMM. Next, please. So Mindanao Situationer, these are little things that make it parang why tayo nahihirapan. Communications, ICT, high electricity costs, nasabi nila yung Agus 1 namin, yung Lanao Lake, we have 6.9 billion. Landslide areas, oh my, disaster risk tayo masyado. So these are some of the aggravating circumstances aside from lack of information about our island by ourselves and by others. Next. So, what is the importance of you guys talking? Tayo, bakit tayo mag-RYC? Kasi nagkaroon na kami ng Bangsamoro Summit Youth Summit. What is the difference of you and previous summits? Yours is, if you pass a resolution that will make it a recommendation of us RNA, yung sinasabi kanina na hindi ibabasura lang, hindi lang basta-basta yung ginawa nyo. Magiging sana ordinansa, magiging batas. So you pass a resolution later on that all your resolutions be part of recommendations to the 7th Assembly para i-take up na. Part even of National Congress, if it's a congressional or a national issue. So it's important to appreciate that the young people are the majority sector because the numbers count again. If you are more, there's more for you. There should be more for you. So there should be more attention. So this 18 million is a very small, it's already an estimate of the Philippine youth population. Is this a youth population or Mindanao? I think it's a Mindanao done. It's Mindanao. This is for Mindanao. Dependent, we are, like kasi nag-aaral ako sa Diliman, no, UP, nung college. Ang sumusulat na kumpanya is sa amin nung 4th year. But you go to Mindanao campuses, and the problem is employment, job fairs, right? Isn't it correct? People don't write to us to employ us. So this is really the situation where we need access to opportunities. Hindi agad-agad dumarating yung job opportunities. So we are more in numbers, mga kawimenan. Go. Dapat kampanyan tayo. More than half are reproductive, which means by the time you're teenagers, kaya yung sinasabi nila yung mga elders natin, mini-marry off agad yung young. And I hope that the statement na sa Maguindanao daw for young women, very exaggerated naman, you're either domestic helper an opportunity or get out. Get out and domestic, which is getting out pa rin naman, DH or getting out. So, dependent tayo sa families, dependent tayo sa national government for money. There's no income generator, sabi ni Bakani, no self-generating resources because Unlike Taiwan, unlike other countries, unlike Laguna, we don't have companies that will generate for us jobs, no, or income. They don't even pay the taxes kung meron dito, di ba? Yung dole, plantation. We pay the taxes outside. So there, these are things na you can just use na lang as part of your analysis, no, in your passing of resolutions. So for me, kunyari, children is not here, no? I'm also strong on children's issue, child mortality. At saka yung mga halaws because for na, bago pa lang kasi set up ng deportee center for our, nobody's really seen people without nationality. Kayo may passports, right? May IDs. How do you imagine if isang tao, walang ID, walang nationality, no recognition of us? That's the situation of halaws. They just ride on a boat, wherever they go, they stay. And then, if people arrest them, they're just going to stay in wherever they're going to be put. That's refugee situation or deportee situation. No nationality, no rights. I'm very much also concerned about persons in jail. Young people who are mixed up with older people in jail. Can you imagine? I think there's this documentary done by a young journalist. I think it was awarded, yung juveniles, put in jail. Mix sila sa mga matatanda, ay yung mga tattoo, yung mga lalaki, di ba? Tapos isang teenager na, you know, nag-hit-hit ng droga, shabu, kasama dun sa matatanda. Yung kultura ng matanda, can you imagine, sama ka sa babata, hindi pa nakakita ng katawan ng babae, tapos lahat makikita mo, mga, di ba, porn, posters. So, you know, like the youth of a child is lost in a juvenile, in a prison. So, I think, thankfully, pumasa na kasi dyan yung juvenile justice law, no, yung ano. So I think separate na yung preso. Sorry. Baka hindi na ako updated sa juvenile. Separate na yata yung kids prisons with the older people. Na? Hindi pa rin? Mix pa rin? Next. Displacement. According to the U.S. This Mindanao 20 document I hold, from 1969 to 2004, the military expenses for conflict has amounted to 24 billion US dollars. Over 35 year period, within 140,000 deaths, according to the United Nations, to 220,000. And a beheading occurred recently na naman, if I'm not mistaken, or some Abu Sayyaf encounter. There are people who do not want to believe in government, who believe that basta Kristiyano, ibang tao, basta church, ibang institusyon, basta anything with a cross should be destroyed. There are certain colleagues natin in our Muslim communities who believe in the difference of the Christianity. Okay? They are living kung sa ating mga sinasabi, we claim to be modern, in that age where black and white is existing. You're either with us or without us. Si Bush din, muntik na, ganun, di ba? Kung sino yung ng World Trade Center, Bush yung mukha, parang suspected ka na, di ba? In airports as being part of Arab-looking, suspicious terrorist, di ba? So, very dangerous. You're either with us, you're putting barriers and borders, you're putting stereotype into certain intelligence, no, procedure. So displacement is very real in Mindanao, and Allah, we pray Almighty, there's not anymore going to be a conflict, because the meaning of a FAB framework that Government Pinoy and MILF entered into is we assume there's a ceasefire. Ceasefire occurs and maintain that ceasefire, which means brandishing of guns, dapat po hindi na nag-aaway in public places, do not bring guns in public, respect the community. No human life, but kailangan nagpapaalaman ng sundalo at MILF pag may movement, no? That's why there's local monitoring teams and other international monitors guarding. So, when a child, there's other worse situations in Rwanda and other countries where guns are placed inside a woman just to show you hate these people. Diba? Those stories are told through me. I've attended women conferences and I saw the so masyado, hindi mo so kumakain kayo. You cannot take up the situation. You cannot, maririnig mo, talaga nangyari ba yan? Mindanao is even, sabi nga ng isang Pakistani na nakausap ko, mas easier yung nangyari sa inyo. But any human life lost is always a loss. We must value life. No? So war's emotional and physiological or psychological effects will continue to affect us, our children. You might have not grown into the forests, but our parents hate the military. Those, our grandparents, hate those who killed their uncles or hurt them. Hate sila. And like people like Montulfo, whose relatives were also hurt by Bangsamoro people, are with us still today. So these dynamics, kailangan conscious kayo. Hindi lang tayo, yung mga colleagues natin na Bangsamoro has been aggressors, but also our Christian brothers selected who did the Ilaga of the 1970s, but also Bangsamoro, who also did the same aggression. Okay? For women, it's a special concern for me because I'm sectoral representative. It's observed, and there's certain findings that women in leadership are helpful to making a better society because, ano bang style ng babae? Guys, anong mga style ng isang babae leader?
Motherly.
I won't ask the women kasi bias.
Motherly.
Motherly.
Tulad ng governor ng Sabadilla.
Let Governor Basila. Ikaw?
Very caring.
Caring. Ikaw yung secretary.
Valuation.
Ikaw, Chair. Kalma lang. Kahit stress. Smile pa rin siya. Ikaw, what do you think of a girl leader? Tayo. Oo, ang dami ginagawa, no? Bahay, tapos trabaho. But surprisingly, despite all the positive qualities of women leaders, they're zero. There's never been a woman president, except for it, you know? So that's like 1% there, correct? This is Senator Pia Cayetano, Gloria Arroyo, dalawa na. Pia Cayetano to. So that's like, ilang percent dapat yun? Mayroong halatang badok system.
Senator.
President. So yun. So the summary there is, okay, board members, ano? This is like a 4-year-old na to. Senator Pia Cayetano statistics presented sa Dulce Alam. Women's Conference na 2003. So ladies, kayo naman ang tatanungin ko, what does it say that majority have been Muslim male leaders? Anong style ng lalaki mag-govern? Hard. Kayo? Firm with decision. Ikaw, lady. Anong tingin mo sa lalaki leader? Good decision. Ay, si babae niya. Ikaw, lady Harija. Busy? Yeah. So, 82.7, meaning men have been born. And this is despite 20 years of advocacy since China, the Sadao Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. So, there's more to pull, you know, for women to be in politics. And it starts sana with you guys. Okay, next. Our vision, you were imagining yourself, kanina. Yours, your direction, your path. Ngayon naman, according to us, mga consultants, after having gone to consultations, we also went to some young people, Mindanao 2020. This is what we'd like. Can you imagine sa Ayala? Have you been to EDSA? Traffic? Init? Pwede bang wala masyadong cars, tapos lahat na sa taas? Ano pasakyan natin? LRT lahat. We'd also like to imagine that, kasi archipelago tayo tubig, di ba? Homes in villages na waterways. Can you imagine that? Nasa tubig tayo nakatira. Okay, you don't know? Water-based villages like Bajau or Sama, which is done in other countries. Water-based sila. Di ba dyan? Water-based villages. For environmental advocates, they can they can imagine this. Water-based. One of the recommendations in this So, culture sensitive, iba't ibang klaseng tao. So, dun pala sa Malaysia, one of the successes, according to Karen Davila, is that kailangan 20% ng power, Malaysia, 20% Chinese, 20% Indian, at dapat hindi lumabas doon sa 20%. Kailangan 20% ng housing, Malaysian, 20% Indian. So may mga numbers. I'm not saying the correct numbers, but don't go beyond the numbers. Like 10 houses lang dapat ang Malaysian. I don't know kung makakatabi-tabi yun. In one village sila, yung parang may segregation policies. But don't go beyond the numbers. And that's what happened, experimentation. Sabi nga, the art of failed experiment. But that's what happened to Malaysia. Don't go beyond the numbers. Give everybody something. And that's what happened to Malaysia. A strong leader like Mahathir Mohamad said, do this. Ako Malaysian, Malay ako. Hindi ako Chinese or Indian. But do this. Ginano niya talaga. Housing, lahat ng scholars dinadala sa Malaysia, sa UK, mga klase ko, sa UK School of Economics, ang gagaling, PhDs ng mga Malaysians, yes, ginagastos ng gobyerno. Get back to your country and manage the companies. Pero Malay still control politics. Anyway, so Mindanao will be distinguished by a self-cultural, sensitive, self-reliant community, able to achieve self-determination, integrated by Bangsamoro, maybe basic law for the Muslim Mindanao, or what? Okay? I close with this because I'd like a strategy for us. It's always my concern, and I think it's also governor's concern. What do you do with what you knew? That's my question to you, Kanina. What do you do with what you knew and what you will know? Our strategy is for you to use your information, not maybe to organize, kasi baka hindi makaya. At saka, ang laki na expectation pag organization di ba? Ako rin, parang naano na ako sa pag-grupo-grupo. Baka you can start with you, and that's why we started your visioning by yourself. Ako, mag-isa. Myself, because I have an internet family with me. Each one of us has a Facebook family. Each one of us has a Yahoo group, or whatever you have online. If we're online, but some young people have in the laptop to be online. So anyway, for you to appreciate, I studied children's use of internet. Many children are online. Even 8-year-old, below 10 years old, they're already holding on to cell phones, and internet laptops. So access to information is very fast for our generation. There is no excuse for you not to be knowledge and able, because there's online. There is information in the internet. Vacancies will be online. The job postings will be online. And what I found in my study for, what's this institution that I did a study for? The danger is that, yes, women are more users now of internet. The danger is that parents are not able to monitor their kids. These are not teenagers yet, kids below 12 years old. And access to porn, access to immoral ideas is already there. So managing the information, yan ang problem of this generation. Okay, side information lang yan kasi you're not children. You're responsible users naman. So your Facebook generation, our group with Amir here, his birthday celebrant, Young Moral Professionals Network. Maria Ressa, she's now the head of Rappler.com. She used to be in CNN. She, according to my sources within ABS-CBN, ang laki ng prinsipyo, she did not want to sell her idea that dapat ang 6 o'clock primetime news maging entertainment. And the way kasi ngayon to sell news is to make it a bit of entertainment. We call it infotainment. Right? You gotta put in Chris Aquino, you gotta put in some form of element para tao ay manunood. In fact, ngayon sa ABS-CBN, naalisin na yung 11 o'clock primetime news. Pero dahil sa napaka-prinsipyado ni Maria Ressa, she didn't want showbiz celebrities mixing up news. She doesn't want plunging necklines reporting the news. Mga ganong tipo ba? Just exaggerate the point. But what's my point about it? The Facebook generation, the internet generation, the ones that we have, our group called Young Moral Professionals Network was brought in by Maria Ressa in one social action conference in Zamboanga because she believed the group can help make change possible. In our community, that's the Bangsamoro community, using online. We might not be everywhere, We might not be in power because I'm not also active as a group. So they are civilian nurses, they are students, they're young morals. But they use internet to do a lot of communications. They meet online, kind of thing. They plan online. They're internationally connected with other young Muslims all over the world who share that idea that change has to come and will come and has to be done by this generation. With the multidimensionality of the problems, we end with in our dialogues with Gurniswari, with the MILF, in that multidimensionality, social problems, emotional problems, spiritual problems, each one of us will have to specialize in that multidimension. So if you're a teacher, academic is yours. Don't go into politics. If political ako, like I am political, I'll not have to exercise media anymore. I cannot be a media professional, even if I was a media person. I'll have to focus on my area of concern and make myself effective. But we are brought up together by social media because there are issues that cross border. So when it's discrimination on a woman who cannot wear a veil or close her face niqab in University of Zamboanga, we are brought together. We are brought together online. Right now, there's a regional trial court decision, accordingly by a text message, that allowed women of UZ to wear their facial cover. They were denied enrollment po kasi. No? They couldn't enroll this second step. So they're now today, this morning, there was a decision by RTC 9, RTC 4 of Zamboanga that they planned. So, social issues. Just for you to start off, I leave it with you. It is your time to pass resolutions that will be considered for maybe legislation and for you to bring back to your own home provinces. With that, good afternoon. Feeling smart about our privilege. Three questions, I think. 3 questions would be allowed before we have to finally end the session with the mayor. Any question pa kayo? Wala na, okay. Para make sure na makakatulog kayo ng medyo na makakatulog kayo. Hindi ko ma-explain masyado yung federal, parliamentary form of government. Google nyo na lang yun. Yes.
I'm not really sure.
Sure, go.
I'd like to ask your opinion.
There we go.
Kasi kanina when we were listening to the speeches of the president, isang what struck us is what sinabi ko
Si Jerry?
yung parang ano po yung publicity pa sa plate ng isang parang I think kasi diba you are really trying to bring like give the voice to the policy making body. So if would it be how can we do it? Parang gusto namin
Same
nila
then. Yeah. Glenda is not here, no? For Tawi-Tawi. We try to do that with Tawi-Tawi Youth Parliament where hindi pa natin na. But the National Youth Parliament level is a national. Tapos kami naman, walang Regional Youth Congress by law. Hindi pa. Hindi pa sila ibatas.
kasi parang
Sana next year, so, you can propose for us to pass into law. Hindi na commission.
Paano talaga siya? Part na talaga na pwede na siya. Integration.
Talaga naman. Na-stress kami kasi papondohan. Yes, ma'am.
Ano kasi naman, yung kasi, bigyan ako ni, talaga pang sa mga youth, affairs.
Yes, UIA. Under the governor's office.
And that they indicated that they also made some on that event. And they got curious if what had happened with the resolution.
Yes, because it's not part of law nga. Hindi nila sabit sa amin sa assembly.
So, will it be very fine if those resolutions
Repeated.
will be repeated?
Affirmed. There's no prohibition at all.
So, bakit hindi naisali yun sana sa board?
Because nobody was championing it. Nobody was pushing it. You always have to have someone. Someone has to do. Nobody did. Sorry.
So what basically the gentleman is pwede mo namin ulitin and so that the
So, nahanap sa pag-ibig.
I mean,
Nagmamake up
kasi
ako.
recommended
My conception.
term na kasi sinabi kasi kanina Mr. is recommendatory.
Alright, ikaw ba yata sa tulog sa photo?
So,
There's no prohibition at all.
so as much as we can.
Yes. And then next time, get voted in all. Kayo naman mag-ano na. Yes, yes. Yes, okay. Music, social issue yan po. Anti-discrimination bill.
Nagawa na yun. Ano po ba? Doon lang sa agency or pwede sa under ARMM?
Understanding law passed by the court is only applicable. Yes, exactly.
Pwede kami
Here, even here.
Kaya nga may DOH memo eh. DepEd memo. Recognizing the right to wear an attire. So yun ang pinagbabasihan natin. Kaya the court recognize.
Actually, I
Pero ma'am, hindi nila na-respect.
Because there has to be some form of fighting, representation.
I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Hindi nga siya naging law, but when you have a legal claim or file, sa court, babalik sila doon sa kaso na yun as basis of decision making. So eventually, possibly, mananalo ka rin.
I have the anti-discrimination bill copy sa likod. Yeah, you can look at that table at it.
Ma'am, considering that you're president and also, do you have this hesitation to run or to
Definitely. I had those dilemmas. I always have to ask my husband, my family. Ganun yun, nasa kultura natin. But,
Bakit umaba talaga
yung participation natin.
Because of the culture.
And then, sasabihin natin na mga lalaki lang yan, usapan ng lalaki. These are mindsets. What's to us from generation to generation? Oh, na-kitchen. Yes.
maybe hindi ko kasi natural sa bayan, medyo kapalit-palit. Is that also
Could also be, and of course, kami mga feminista, hindi namin tatanggapin yun na ikaw-minded tayo, o dyan, di ba? You have to be firm. Kung ayaw mo sa lalaki, ayaw, di ba? Tapos ako, yep. Yun, so discrimination, that's one of the major issues natin wherever we go even outside of ARMM. But careful not to discriminate the IPs there. Because the tendency of us Muslim dominating ARMM is that tayo rin, my minorities, remember Islam, the Sunnis, minorities shall be protected. Always protected. They're claiming their tribal rights. Kanina, this Mount Piercy in Maguindanao, one of us, IP sector representative, is filing a reso to have it declared sacred. Tapos bigla na lang sabi, sacred lang eh, ano yun eh? You don't have the parang right kasi sacred yan, ikaw yung sabi sacred. Pero according to the Constitution, you can, indigenous cultures and traditions are respected. But because Bangsamoro siya, sabi niya, ikaw yung sabi sacred. So these are things na nangyayari. Part of our dialogue.
Meron na mga resolutions or bills about human rights?
Yes, I think, yes. On the labor. Legal labor. Yes, there's Jumaide. Executive Department created ACA, Anti-Trafficking or Center, something. ACA. Against trafficking. As a council against trafficking. Sometimes forget pala issues. Lang. They don't come out of your discussions. Yes. Okay. So let's spark by this time for that, and I think we have been enriched by the input that actually Mr. Mayor has been given to us, and we're thankful for that. We give her a round of applause. And I'd like to present this plaque of merit. I'd like to read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, St. Thomas Region and Mindanao, Regional Legislative Assembly, promoting good governance for the Bangsamoro people, Republic Society and Philippines. Plaque of merit is hereby presented and conferred to Honorable Samira Gutoc Tomawis, Samira Regional Legislative Assembly, for her invaluable role as resource speaker in the Regional Youth Congress, held from November 14, 2012 until 16 November 2012 at OMI Retreat House, Marian Dios, Tamagtaka, Dato Udin Pinsuat, Maguindanao, Philippines, signed by the Chairperson of the Regional Youth Congress Committee, Honorable Siti Norhani Hamdan Lau, and the Speaker of the Regional Legislative Assembly, Honorable Rasul Yap Mogi Jr., and the Governor of the ARMM Regional Governor, Honorable Najib Sabitu Hatama. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for pause. And this is the last thanks everyone. Thank you very much. Check your Facebook. They're on Facebook. For all the power. Yeah. Again, let's give her a round of applause. How are you? My dear friends, at this very hour, we have to spend like few minutes for our community election. So at this time, it was, we were in quorum about 15, and I was counting, we're only 14. Where's the other one? But still, minus one, we're still in quorum, right? So we have to proceed. Okay? So I'd like to call in Ms. Intisar Abacolinch. She will be the one to facilitate the election for the committee structure. Again, there will be four officers in that set. One is we need to elect the chair of the committee. Second is we will need to elect also the vice chair of the committee. And we'll have the secretary general, and we'll have the deputy secretary. So these are the actually the four important people that would represent the committee and put order in the structure, because after that one is we will have our monthly prayer. Then we will go back to our committee session. We will be the one, unlike the entire process in terms like from laundry listing of the social issues that we will be discussing. So it will be then handled by you, by the officers in the committee. Is that understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to elect the chairperson, the vice chair, the secretary, and the deputy secretary. So, shall we start? So, okay. So, the nomination for the chairperson is now open. So, any nomination, yes?
What's the name again?
Raisa Abbas. Okay, so Raisa Abbas is nominated as chairperson. Any second?
Second motion. Wala.
That these nominations be closed.
Okay, so the nomination for the chairperson is moved and seconded.
It was subjected.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ignored.
Yes.
I would like to nominate
Chairperson. So, another nomination for chairperson, Samir Martinez. Yes.
Again, I would like to move this nomination.
Okay, so the nomination for Samir Martinez. Yes. Okay, so the nomination for chairperson is moved. Okay.
Second the motion.
Okay,
Seconded.
seconded. Now we start the voting. Any in favor of Raisa?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay.
Will be appointed.
Okay, so let's start.
I'm here what precisely?
Raisa Abbas. Okay, Keith. Let's hear from Keith.
Assalamualaikum. Mayong gabi sa tanan. My name is Keith Aizal Marco. I am a fourth year business student of the Regional Youth University. I am currently its president of the SSC, and I am looking forward to work with you. Willing or not, I am very much eager to work with all of us so that we can have a very good outcome.
Okay, let's hear from Samir.
So, ang mga tinatawag na sa party has iyakan ni Tino Basilan. The former President of the President of the College in Taiwan was elected from South Africa. Become Secretary of Peace. One thing is that it's not about the position we are holding on the certain committee, but it's the participation of all of us for the success of the committee.
Very, very good. Shall we start the voting?
Yes.
Any objection? Okay. Any in favor of right to Abbas?
Abbas.
Abbas. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, how about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How about Samir? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so please, now the chairperson. Yan naman sila. Yan naman sila.
Maraming salamat for voting. That's a sign of confidence and I'm really trembling right now. Kasi I am used to handling or to be with students but not with graduates and not with law students. But I will try my best to give justice to the position that you gave me. Okay, so next in line we have to elect our deputy vice chairperson of our committee. And any nominations? Yes. Mr. Samira is nominated. Other nominations?
I would respectfully nominate Ms. Raisa Abbas for the same position.
Ms. Raisa Abbas is also nominated. Any other nominations or there's a motion. Any objections? Okay. There's a motion to close the nomination and release the candidate. So let's go. I think we already heard what they had to say. So let's go directly to votation. Who is in favor of Mr. Samir to become the vice
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8.
8. 8. So who is in favor of Ms. Rice?
Majority na yan.
The vice chair.
So congratulations to Mr. Samir. Okay, so now we will elect our Secretary General. I would like before any nominations, I would like to say to the body that this is a very hard job because we have because she or he will be doing so much documentation and everything. So I suggest that we pick someone that we think could do the job well. Okay, so as nominations.
Okay, I would like to nominate Miss
Mr. Tinita here is nominated.
I move to close these nominations.
No nominations? Okay, so because it's a unanimous decision, congratulations Mr. Tinita here. You are now a Secretary General. So with that, we go on to the next position, the Deputy Secretary General. Again, someone that can help our Secretary General. So any other nominations? Yes, Mr. Samir. Miss Nashwa is nominated. Other nominations or motions? Mr. Cedric Mastura is nominated. Other nominations or motions?
I move to close the nomination. And I will second that motion.
Any second? Okay, so let's move to close and seconded. So let's go into votation. Before that, may we hear some words from the gentle lady? If you would like.
I am Nashwa Sali and an AGD at the I actually graduated BS Biology in Western University Berkeley, dedicated on all countries. And currently, I'm working with the DX Region 9 under a project contract. That's all I can say. It will be a pleasure to be with her. And I think for a better outcome.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening to all of you. I would not campaign for myself yet. I will be campaigning for Miss Nashua because I believe that she would be more fit into the position that we are talking about. So thank you very much.
Anyway, let's go into votation. First, let's who is in favor of Miss Nashwa?
Mananalo siya. I know.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, majority. 10. So, because it's a unanimous vote, so our Deputy Secretary General is Ms. Nashwa.
Nashua Sally.
Nashwa Sally. Okay, so congratulations to all of us.
Sally,
Sally.
Valentine. So, I think
For the committee. I'd like to congratulate all the leaders, your new leaders for the committee. And I think this is not just like for popularity's sake, but we really have to work. So there is a lot of work in the committee before the plenary. You know that. Okay? So congratulations Steve, Samir, Akini, and Masha. So we have 2 boys and 2 girls. Gender.
Yes.
Like balance, of course.
Balance representation.
Even though that we have seen that the statistics of imbalances between gender, like between 2 genders, the male and the female, but we see right now you move it along, and you can do it in your small community to do some kind of balance for the participation leadership of men and women in this community. Let's go for that.
Social committee.
Okay, you belong in a humanitarian and social matters, and this is like a very broad concerns. But this is also dear to our heart because we live by it, and we see this not just you know on our nose, but we taste it, we live it, we live with it, and we talk about poverty, war concerns, you know, internally displaced people in the community, gender issues, trafficking, okay? So these are the things that you have been facing, and when you are facing all this, we see issues, we see concerns, okay? So these are the things that we will be trying to put in a workshop later on as we do the laundry listing. That means to say we'll have some kind of workshop that you will be going to facilitate for everybody's concerned, because we wanted to know what are the issues you have in mind that concerning about the humanitarian and social matters. Okay? So for at this hour, we're going to have a break for our prayer, for the Monday prayer. Okay? So we'll have 5:45 to. Okay. Now this is our schedule to note, no? So this is like my personal observation as the head facilitator for the entire Congress. Some of us, like a few of us, are not quite, you know, we're not following schedule. Though the entire Congress, we are not following the schedules, we overspill because we try to accommodate people who wanted to say something, people who wanted to make support, to share the message of support. But that was because of the opening ceremony. There will be no more opening ceremony, I hope. But we are actually looking forward of the closing ceremony, at least by the time we are about to close. Pero at this time, as we talk about in our community and we talk about plenary, time is very essential. Time is very precious. We wanted to sleep, you know, to sleep well and still have all the time. We need to be not poor. Let's not experience poverty and you know. So that means to say, follow our own time. So I'd like to remind everyone that at this time we're going to do the break for the Monday prayer. And when we get back, there will be a with about 30 minutes, there will be the
motion for campaign. So there will be campaigns around. So be conscious about it. And I don't know if you know more the candidates. You will get to know that. And after the 30-minute campaign, that's the dynamic after the Monday prayer, we will have our election. So we'll have the Congress. Then we'll have dinner. Then the committee sessions will get back, will be resumed after the dinner. So the resumption will be at 7:30. Okay? So please be mindful of the time, and I hope we can synchronize our watch. Follow me. My time is like 5:47. 5:47. So please do follow that time. By this time, do not apply muna advance and late time. So advance late, late or according to our schedule. But make sure it's 5:47 right now. Okay? For everybody, the break commences.
In-endorse ko siya sa BPI because BPI is partnering with the provincial government, and then the provincial government supplied in the paper and then provided the municipalities on their level that leeway for micro-small and medium enterprises to be into the mainstream economy instead of the back informal economy. So meron silang
Meron na kayong ano?
we were into trafficking actually.
Yung ano sa amin.
Wala pa siyang but